Hi Aries, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly horoscope for the month of October. This is a really heavy fall season because we are in Mars retrograde, and Mars officially retrograded in your sign on September 9th at 28 degrees of Aries, and it officially stations direct on November 13th at 15 degrees of Aries. And Mars only retrogrades once every 2 years, and it loves being in your sign. It rules your sign. And the last time it retrograded in Aries was 1988 and 1941. So it doesn't happen that frequently. And Mars wants to go full steam ahead. It wants to get things done yesterday. And now we have Mars in retrograde review period. It's a cosmic pause for all of us, but it can be very frustrating. And for you, it's retrograding in your first house. That's the physical body. That's your house of immediate environment. That's your house of new beginnings. It's saying to you to review what you've been working on thus far. It doesn't mean to stop working, but it is encouraging you to get some rest, to find ways to exercise or meditate or manifest or other ways to channel the energy in a way that brings relaxation and balance. Because working in a year of lockdown, Capricorn has been really the forerunner of the year. That's a cardinal sign, but it deals with the restrictions. You want to go full throttle. Capricorn rules time and doesn't mind if things take forever to get something done. And Capricorn encourages us to build character within the restrictions. And we have all been doing that, but it gets very frustrating and challenging. And now Mars retrograde wants you to restore, whether you like it or not, and find ways to seek balance in this cosmic chaos that we're all dealing with. And on the 1st of October, there's a full moon in your sign that takes place at 5:05 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 9 degrees of Aries. And it sets off where Saturn was in the sky. It got to 9 degrees of Capricorn on and off in 2018. So it could be bringing more information from what you were working on in 2018, whether it was in your career, because Saturn entered your house of career and life goals at the very end of December of 2017. It could be that when a full moon falls in your first house, it can be very illuminating and it can bring light to things. Maybe you're finding ways to practice self-care and healing in all of this. Shadow issues will be brought up with the Mars retrograde story for all of us. And again, it's retrograding in your sign, so you're going to feel it acutely. And, just kind of tapping into that. And the full moon meets up with Chiron, the wounded healer, on the 1st. So that also helps you to do healing work. On the 2nd of October, Venus, which is the planet of love and money, exits the sign of Leo and enters Virgo, where it is in your house of work and daily routine and habits and health and regimen. And this is an excellent transit for you for, again, reviewing your choices around health and wellness. And Venus will be transiting in this sign until October 27th. So it's excellent for, again, figuring out ways for getting more aligned with your health and with your daily routine. And on the 4th of October, we're going to have a really big transit because Pluto, the planet of power and death and transformation, and the main player of the year aside from Saturn, the two met up in the sky at 22 degrees of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn on January 12th, and they hadn't met up for over 500 years. And when an outer planet hits a degree at the world axis, that impacts every one of us. It brings big world events, and it impacts people on the world stage, but it hits every one of us because we are the world. and Pluto stations direct on October 4th. We feel that 5 days before and 5 days after. That's occurring in your house of career. And Pluto, that's a very heavy, again, trying to find ways to temper your anger, your pain, how you react to things, because we can all expect, again, this is going to be a very heightened time in the world and in our own lives. And then 5 days later, Mars squares Pluto in the sky. Mars in your sign squares Pluto in your house of career. So that's an aspect of power struggles and combat. So you want to find ways to be productive with the energy. And you know this is coming up. You know there can be fights in relationships and at work and in your career. So using this as a way of avoiding that if possible, or finding ways to be productive with the energy and getting things done in challenging times. That would be a battle of sorts as well. And on the, let's see here, on the 11th of, on the 10th of October, we have transiting Venus in Virgo, forming a trine to Uranus in Taurus. And Venus is in your house of work and daily routine, making a good aspect to Uranus, the planet of innovation, in your house of creativity and how you earn income. Maybe this brings a good financial option or a project in your life, or a creative project. That's nice energy. On the 11th of October, the sun in Libra squares Jupiter, and that could bring a lot. The sun is transiting in your house of relationships until October 22nd, when it enters Scorpio. So again, more emphasis and light on relationships for you, with the sun transiting in your house of partnerships. But the sun square Jupiter can just be a lot going on that day, and a lot with work. And on the, let's see here, on the 12th of October, we have some very nice aspects. Jupiter in your house of career, and that's the planet of benevolence and expansion and wisdom, forms what's known as a sextile. That's an aspect of opportunity to Neptune, which is the planet of dreams and the imagination. And Neptune's transiting in your house of dreams. That's a really good energy for manifesting. So I would definitely use that day to write down intentions, to journal, to work on creative projects. And the other aspect that day is Venus is making a good aspect to Mercury. It's forming a sextile. That's also more creative energy in the sky. So that's very helpful. And then on the, let's see here, on the 13th of October, Mercury stations retrograde in Scorpio, and it stations at 11 degrees of Scorpio, and then it will station direct on November 3rd at 25 degrees of Libra. And so this harkens back to when Venus was when Venus was retrograde in 2018. Now, I was going to say last retrograde, but Venus was retrograde earlier this year. So Venus retrograded on October 5th of 2018 at 10 degrees and 50 minutes of Scorpio. And it's stationed direct on November 17th at 25 degrees of Libra. And this Mercury retrograde is completely mirroring that. So, Mercury will retrograde initially in your 8th house of intimacy and of joint resources and sexuality and soulmates, where it is in Scorpio. And then it will station direct on November 3rd at 25 degrees of Libra. And Mercury, doesn't enter Libra until the 27th. So it's going to be stationing retrograde initially in Scorpio, but that's happening on the 13th. So that's another energy that we're all working with. And Mercury in Scorpio is incredibly perceptive and intuitive, and that could bring up old wounds around relationships, unhealed blocks, pain, things that you're working with. This Mars retrograde. Mars also is the ancient ruler of the 8th house, so that would not be surprising, you know. And on October, let's see here, on October 16th, we have a new moon in Libra that occurs at 23 degrees of Libra, and it falls in your house of relationships and partnerships. It's, let's see, it's opposing Mars, and Mars is conjunct Eris, the goddess of discord, the sister of Mars. So there is some volatility in this new moon. There are some challenges in it, but yet, you know, this new moon is always a time of setting intentions and new beginnings. And that day, you know, you do want to set new intentions around relationship goals, because that's where the new moon falls for you. And on the 22nd of October, the sun exits the sign of Libra and enters the sign of Scorpio, where it'll be transiting until November 21st, and that falls in your house of intimacy and joint resources and soulmates, and that's a relationship house too, but that's really partnering on a very deep soul level. And I neglected to say that on the 18th of October, we have the sun in Libra squaring Saturn, and that day transiting Venus opposes Neptune. So that's not an easy day around relationships. You know, Venus is, the sun is in your house of relationships and squaring Saturn in your house of career. That could be blocks, that could be hard in professional relationships, but also Venus in your house of work, opposing Neptune in the house of secrets. That is difficult energy. So we're all going to be working with that. Maybe something gets brought to light, but that could be challenging around relationships that day. But luckily we have that new moon energy that we're going to be working with, that looms for a while, you know. And then we have, let's see here, on the 27th of October, Mercury exits the sign of Scorpio and enters the sign of Libra, and it will station direct on November 3rd at 25 degrees of Libra. Again, this may bring up issues around relationships that you were experiencing the last time that Venus retrograded at these very same degrees, from 11 degrees of Scorpio in October 5th of 2018, and it's stationed direct, that is Venus did, at 25 degrees of Libra on November 17th. So that was in your 8th house of intimacy and your 7th house of relationships. Mercury is going to be making the same transit, and so there could be miscommunication around relationships and partnerships. Maybe there are things that are being brought up that you need to heal, and this is very much a month for that in many different ways. Maybe you hear from old relationships, people you used to work with, people you dated, relationships from many different corners of your life. And then we complete the month on the 31st. We have a full moon at 8 degrees of Taurus, and that falls in your house of income and money, and hopefully that brings fruition to something you've been working on and brings a financial gain. And that's the third lunation we have this month too, because we have 2 full moons and 1 new moon. So it's going to be a really intense month. Mars retrograde in your sign, you are going to feel it the most. Everybody is, but it's in your house of beginnings, and it's saying that you got to kind of refresh before you start something new. You should renew, but not begin something new altogether if you can avoid it. And a lot of relationship stuff, I feel, too, and a lot of healing work. So I wish you a lot of luck, Aries. Thank you very much, and take care. All right, bye-bye.